Hare Krishna. Thank you all once again for joining in. And today I would like to speak on a topic I've been working for many years, and now I feel it's coming to maturity, just like Vyasadeva was studying the Vedas, and then he wrote the Bhagavatam. So similarly, chanting is the essence, right? Chanting is the essence, and we all struggle with chanting, correct? So, how many of you agree with me that chanting is a struggle? Can you raise your hand? So far, only one. I mean, looks like the best place to chant, New Jersey. Okay. Just want to see everyone very active. Okay. So we all struggle with chanting, right? And and very interestingly, I tried to go into the root because I was struggling with so many health issues at one point, and I was having diabetes and heavy vata and all these health issues. And probably Krishna wanted me to go through that suffering to come out with an answer, which is very practical. At that point, I was thinking I could only be active an hour a day or something. I was so weak, and I thought, this is it. Very soon I will go to Golok and I'm done with this body. I've done enough in ISKCON and everything. But suddenly things started to change as I started to figure out the answer. And that took me to very wonderful depths of Ayurveda. I started asking 101 people, can you reverse this with Ayurveda? Can you reverse diabetes or any disease with yoga and Ayurveda? And as I was very disturbed, and then finally at one point, I was reading books after books, Ayurveda and yoga and different things. And then one book changed, and one verse changed my entire faith, outlook, and practice. And that book is Yoga Rahasya by Nathamuni. Who is Nathamuni? Nathamuni is the founder of Sri Vaishnavism. And he says there that any disease that cannot be overcome by any other means can be overcome by the disciplined practice of Ashtanga Yoga and Pranayama. By Ashtanga Yoga. And it was over a period of 3 to 4 years that I practiced, and each and every, like I had weak ankles, like in between the lower back and everything, but kept on practicing. So kind of went into a shell, not traveling much, not doing much, but kept on practicing, did some fasting, all different things. But everything, then all of this, then I joined my PhD because I wanted to my PhD to be like a healing. I study a topic in depth, and I started working with a lot of people who had diabetes, health issues, and many devotees, in fact, had the same issues. And as we worked through the last 3, 4 years, not only was I able to reverse it, I mean, I did not have to ask anybody, but that verse, every day I started remembering the verse. And he describes one thing that really stuck in my mind was he explains the progression of the Bhagavad Gita. Nathamuni says that before you reach the seventh chapter, because in Bhagavad Gita, first 6 chapters are Karma Yoga, middle 6 chapters are Bhakti Yoga, and the last 6 chapters are Jnana Yoga. But before you go to Bhakti, there is a verse in the 6th chapter. Krishna talks about discipline. And he says, Yukta hara viharasya, Yukta chestasya karmasu, Yukta swapna avabodhasya, Yogo bhavati dukkha. That before you enter the 7th chapter, before you enter Bhakti, Yuktahara, one should have Yukta Ahara, one should have balanced diet. Yukta Vihara, Yukta Chesta, it's not like anything new comes in this world, it drives you crazy. No, you are liberated. You are firmly fixed. Like today, somebody tells you, oh, they are cloning humans and this and that. It doesn't disturb you or doesn't excite you, right? Because we know ultimately, even if it is cloned or not, it has to die. or even if they do, it's not going to benefit anybody, right? Just like Prabhupada says clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that you cannot, this is what convinced me when I was in college, was that the production of blood is the function of Atma, Prabhupada says. And scientists can never produce blood outside the human body. Right? We have to be convinced about this science. And even today, wherever I go, this is what I explain. And somebody told me, oh, US military is working on producing blood and cloning blood and this and that. Do it, show. Nobody can do it so far. Prabhupada is right. You cannot grow organs outside. So this Bhagavad Gita proceeds as a science because in Karma Yoga, when you detach, when you donate, when you give, when you become detached, what happens? You attain jnana, knowledge. By acting in a virtuous manner, you attain jnana. But in that jnana, you have to hold it. Because even if you become devotees, you are only getting the seed. You have to build on that seed. To reach the bhakti, to reach flawless bhakti, continuous flowing chanting, you have to clear the mind so that when you chant, you are not disturbed. So that comes in tapasya, that comes in the 6th chapter. Because 7th chapter, what you are talking is pure bhakti, right? But we are Mishra Bhaktas. We are Bhakta sometimes, we are like somewhat Bhakta sometimes, right? So we watch some movies sometimes, we go to party sometimes, we go to this. We are not practicing pure, although we are aspiring to be pure devotees, but we are somewhere there in between. So we are uh, in that 6th chapter, entering the 7th chapter, but we have to be very disciplined. Yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapna avabodhasya. You sleep, wake up, disciplined. Yogo bhavati dukkha. Dukkha. Krishna doesn't promise ecstasy before 7th chapter. So 7th chapter is ecstasy. Bhakti is ecstasy. But before bhakti, one should be free. So when you sit to chant, you should be free from papa, sin. So what is one of the papa? What is the main reason? Then the Ayurveda and these yoga books give me so many answers. And then I see why Bhagavad Gita is the essence. Because many a times we read these things, but Bhagavad Gita is only 700 verses. But the root of that, the explanation of that is in those tons and tons of literature of Veda, Ayurveda, and it's so detailed. And I'll show you verses from the Ayurveda today, which will open a different dimension for you. It really opened up my mind. Oh wow, this is amazing, because this is all connected to bhakti. Why? Because the goal of Ayurveda is bhakti. Interestingly, it says one doesn't do panchakarma to just get well and commit sinful activities. No, it says you do panchakarma, you do purification. Why? So that you can please Lord Vishnu by doing devotional service. Your strength should be in the mode of goodness to serve Lord Vishnu. That is the goal of Ayurveda. Same is the goal of yoga, because yoga directly is bhakti. Directly, he says it is sadhana bhakti. Who is saying this? Nathamuni. I was speaking to a Sri Vaishnava lady yesterday, and I was speaking about the Yoga Rasya and how it connects, how these yogas, karma, jnana, dhyana, ashtanga, they connect seamlessly into bhakti. So the goal of this previous karma, jnana, dhyana, yoga is to prepare you for pure devotion, prepare your balanced mind, a balanced body and a balanced mind, so that when you come to bhakti, we do not commit offenses. The only way we regress in bhakti is by offense. Because every time you chant offenselessly, you progress. Right? There are 3 kinds of chanting, right? Offensive, offenseless, and pure. Right? So pure. So offense, we should at least come to aparada shunyana. Aparada shunya. Aparada yukta, aparada shunya. What is the difference? The difference is attentiveness, clarity of mind. Okay. So when you sit to chant, what happens? All our credit card bills come, right? They stand in front of us. Or what am I going to eat today? How am I planning my day? Da, 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 da. Because what happens is in the repository of the mind, so mind is in the region of the heart, it extends throughout the body by what is called as nadi or a nervous system. When the soul attaches to the body, so when your soul leaves this body or when it left the previous body, it came with a baggage. What is that? Ever since you came to this material world, three things are with you: mind, intelligence, ego. So whether whichever planet you were born, your mind, intelligence, ego followed you throughout your existence. And what you are today is a product of those millions of births of samskaras. And many of them are susupta. They are like hidden. We don't even know they exist. The tendencies come when given an opportunity based on training. So what happens is these samskaras keep coming. And one of my co-PhD students, he's working in an Ayurveda hospital, and I was amazed to his research was so wonderful. It helped me a lot. It said Ayurgenomics. It's on Ayurgenomics, what genes you carry. So when because of those genes, you have a certain amount of faith also shapes your body and mind. So when we come with some mental tendencies. When you look at kids, you see what kind of, if you look at their horoscope, their dasha, which dasha they are born, what kind of difficulties or pleasantness the parents experience, what kind of mental tendencies he has. So what happens is when you come to bhakti, all of a sudden you have all these tendencies. And Prabhupada says you have to switch off you have to turn off. But it's not easy to turn off because there's a warning. In the Yoga Sutras, in the Bhagavatam, there is a warning that if you commit offenses, if you continue to be offensive, you become 10 times more dangerous. Your mind, it's not anybody else. Don't blame anybody else. It's your mind becomes 10 times more dangerous to you. And all your samskaras, previous tendencies, like the King George of England, he used to steal from his own palace. Some samskara. He had everything. But his mind is blocked. So similarly, our mind is blocked. So similarly, all our thoughts we do during the day, they are also spread out in these nadis, in these spaces. And when you are trying to chant, the mantra is trying to go through this space and you have not arranged or got ready to this chant. And suddenly all these thoughts come up because they are sitting there. We have not learned how to evade them or put them aside with philosophy. Sthitadir Muniruchyate, a yogi who has learned to stop. These thoughts are undisturbed by these, because these thoughts will be there, but become undisturbed by these thoughts. Sthitadir Muniruchyate. So what happens is, for example, when I sit to chant, I did worked on a few devotees. We did a japa workshop, and it helped me and helped them both. I'm not saying I did workshop and it helped them. I'm doing it for myself. Everything we do in devotion is to cultivate our own devotion. So we are not some big thing, but whatever I do it for my own benefit. At the same time, by benefiting others, I benefit myself. So this devotees who I worked with on japa. So first, when you sit to chant, the first thing that you have in mind, first thing is when I sit down to chant, I am chanting for next 1 hour. So Krishna has taken care of me for millions of births. Even this birth, if 1 hour, say I was sleeping this 1 hour early morning instead of chanting, will I think? No, just think I'm sleeping. So you don't need to think. I don't need to think because Krishna is taking care of me. Can I depend on Krishna for 1 hour without thinking of my problems? Well, he takes care of the ant in the deepest ground. He can't take care of me for 1 hour. He cannot protect me, right? right? He has maintained me for 1 hour. If I just dedicate myself, if I just think of Krishna, if I just dedicate myself to hearing the holy name, I'm just exposing, just like those who have those, when you go to the sun, like you expose yourself, right, without anything else. Those who have cancer, for example, to get rid of that, they get radiation that expose the whole body and mind to that. So similarly, we expose our minds to the, and anything that comes up, I'm very clear. I'm going to depend on Krishna. Even if it's the biggest problem, Krishna will take care. I don't need to think. Krishna once will give me a realization, but I don't need to start problem solving. Then I will be stuck with problem solving. That's one of the Maya. You get stuck with problem solving. So I want to think of only hearing and holding the lotus feet of the Lord. So to prepare for that, I need to sit properly, situate myself properly, and only I'm going to depend on Krishna, and I'm going to hear very, very attentively. So then in the whole workshop, I describe technique, how to hear every word. And after a month, because it doesn't happen in one day, you try some today. I try to be attentive with every word. And this half an hour, that's it. I'm suspending all other activities. What does Krishna say? Tasmad, one should, that second chapter, he says that one should be ekagra, right? The mind has 5 states. Shipta, vikshipta, Moodha, Ekagra, Niruddha. Kshipta means all over the place. So when you chant, sometimes you think of Biden, sometimes you think of Trump, sometimes you think of cake, sometimes you think of vada pav, whatever you are thinking, right? So suddenly all over the place, things popping up in the mind, right? Kshipta, Vikshipta. So Vikshipta is really highly disturbed. Mood, stupid, right? So mind can be stupid, just like we watch NFL or cricket or something, we waste so much time, right? And we think that is beneficial. And we watch so many political speeches, this and that. We just need to get the essence, go forward. But there is so much Bhagavatam to study, but our mind gets entertainment, right, in false things. Mooda, ekagra, but mind should come to the fourth state. Ekagra means you are focused on one object. That is what the mind can achieve, one object. Kevala. So it is called a Kevala Kumbhaka. In pranayama also, when the whole focus of pranayama is to focus on one thought, dhyanam. Right? And what happens when you focus on one point? Prana focuses on that. The more number of thoughts you have, your prana, your energy, your mental energy is scattered. So that is why you don't get the full focus. Because it says if you chant Gayatri purely, no disease can exist in your body. If you chant Gayatri transcendentally focused on one point. And taking this clue, I went back because in the 4th semester of my yoga, I had studied the pranayam. So morning I practice my Ashtanga, and evening when I do my Gayatri, I pull the abdomen in, fully hold, and then hold the breath. And when completely holding the breath, you actually sweat. Pranayam, even yoga, and you chant the Gayatri in the mind, and the mantra has to flow because the mind first has to be clean. Just like before you worship the Lord, you clean the deity room, you clean everything, and then focus on the deity because it's so beautiful, it's so clean, it looks very beautiful. So similarly, the mind, you need to clear off and then let the mantra, invite the mantra into your heart because mind is the heart, mind is here. In the Pranopanishad, it says the mind is in the region of the heart. So when you chant the mantra, you are opening up your heart, Hridayam. That's why you get the feeling, realization, tears in your eyes. Solve the feeling in your heart. At the same time, your anger, frustration, everything manifests also in the heart. So you have to clear yourself. You have to suspend the 6 enemies. So that is why one has to forgive. One has to forgive before you chant. So first thing you do, you forgive and you beg forgiveness. You become very humble. You have to be helpless. Helpless. So when I'm chanting, how did Ajamila chant? Offenselessly, helplessly. So that's the first thing. First thing, I am going to be with Krishna. But second thing, I'm going to be helplessly with Krishna. I have no strength. Moment you think yoga balena, I will do with my yoga bala. No. Bhakti means prapatti, surrender. Right? There are two kinds of people. Yoga bala. You put your strength, but your strength is in how much you surrender. That is your strength. Right? Like Ramanuja gives the example of prapatti. When you want to meditate on the Lord, how do you get it? He says, prapatti, surrender. So surrender means a yogi is like a monkey. Monkey means if you see a child monkey, when a mother monkey jumps from tree to tree, the child monkey is hanging on to the mother monkey. So he calls that like the yogi. He's hanging on like with his strength. But he says a bhakti yogi is how is he? Like the kitten. The kitten says meow, the mother picks up the kitten and puts him in a safe place. So you have to helplessly chant when you chant. So there is no scope of thinking anything else. I'm helpless. We think I have insurance, I have this, I have that. Will that save you? Might. Din chalega, but will it save you? Except the Lord's mercy, nothing can save you. So if we have that much conviction, then I hear, then every other problem, I don't worry because I'm simply depending on the Lord. Can you do that for 2 hours continuously? That requires sadhana, that requires conviction, that requires focus. And that is my, so I want to continue this theme as there is so many faculties involved in the 24 hours. So we are chanting 2 hours only. And that is the minimum criteria because in Ashtanga Yoga also, yama, morals, niyama, cleanliness, discipline, everything. Asana, strengthening your body. Pranayama, breath control. It's not breath control, it's actually purification. Krishna says, I am of purifiers, I am the wind, I am the breath. And to Uddhava, he says, before you meditate on me, first to do Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Because it can remove all samskaras from you. So when you do pranayama, what happens? That samskara. But if you chant offenselessly, also you get the same results. Who says this? Prabhupada says this in the Bhagavata. By pranayama and by chanting, one gets purification till the point of liberation. After liberation, only the mantra takes you to the next level, not pranayama. But pranayama takes you to that platform. But only by offenseless, continuous, focused chanting for 2 hours. That is called dharana. That is the definition. Desha bandha chittasya dharana. 5 gatikas. One gatika is 24 minutes. It is said if you want to chant any mantra, do it for minimum 24 minutes and then that mantra, boom, it creates a samskara, an impression which is hard to go away. But if you do 24 into 5, that is called dharana, strong impression which cannot be shaken. But to do that, but to get to that point, one needs those rest of the 22 hours also. And what do you do in those 24 hours? Do not overeat. You have to be disciplined. Atyara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagra janasangascha laulyapya sadbhir bhakti vinashyati. Just don't do all these things in the rest of the 22 hours. That is also chanting. If I am aware of my eating, don't overeat. And especially when I got diabetes, I eat once, this thing more, I'm down. That time I understood, oh, overeating means this. And a lot of devotees, I was doing a fasting program and a lot of devotees joined during the COVID especially. And then they realized, oh, Prabhuji, most of what we eat is overeating. Now we realize, right? Because most of what we eat, we don't really need it. Just like because of the emergency of 1970s, because food shortage and all that, they were growing wheat, rice, carb. And now because of that, the whole generation, if you Google today, what percentage of America is pre-diabetic? 38%. In India also, it's 38, 39%. Every fourth person you ask is diabetic today, right? Because of eating that carb, all these things. Does it affect your chanting? Yes. The reason is, yes, it is affecting because everybody is just firefighting, right? Dukkha daurmanasya angame jayatta swasa praswasa yoho sahabhuvaha. What are the things that affect your daily practice of meditation? Dukkha, sadness, if there is any sadness. Daurmanasya, bad mind, bad mood. Angame jayatva, right? Overbreathing, anxiety, stress. All these things are detrimental to the practice of bhakti. So the rest of the 22 hours, one should balance your life in such a way that then you are able to sleep, wake up early, fresh, and then be able to chant and balance the rest of the 22 hours. And it's day in, day out. Today is Sunday, holiday from chanting. No, not happening. Right? You can wake up a little bit late, but then you can't skip it. It's your routine. So Ayurveda says health means routine. You have to find a balance. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu. Then that verse became so profound. If you want to have that quality chanting, if one day it's like climbing Mount Everest, one day it's you are like climbing one. But if you slip one major festival, like there are so many devotees whom I am counseling. So there is like 5, 6 devotees from Sharanagati village, Canada, and they're very nice, and they follow very. And then they say, Prabhuji, we have Sunday feast, and after that it takes 3 days to recover. Because there are so many, it's potluck, so many sweets, so much sugar, it's like a blast. And then forget about Sunday feast, now festival. So you fast all day, right? And then what happens? Boom, at late at night. And then you take 3 days again to recover. Ekadashi, what happens? You are supposed to control sugar, you are supposed to control eating. Instead, we find a workaround, detour, right? And that to the worst ones, potato, sabudana. I was researching sabudana. Where did this tradition start? Okay. And then I found one guy making fun of sabudana. So he's a scientist. And someone was trying to find sabudana reference. Like, where is this? Which intelligent guy put this in it? Ekadashi fasting. And this person started like telling in a mimicry that sabudana is used by sages when they fast. Is what you find in Google search. Then he says, it's not, and it's not true. Because sabudana has the highest amount of sugar. It raises your sugar, it overheats your liver. And whoever came up with sabudana was intellectually, trying to deviate the people who are actually fasting. Mm. And it really overeats. Suppose you have potatoes, for example, right? Potato pizza. I was hearing Gaura Guru's lecture, and he was saying even our rishis would be shocked to see today's menu on Ekadashi. Right? Anyway, jokes apart. So the 22 hours, you need to have a balance. And what is that balance? That is what is in the 6th chapter. So let me take you through some interesting facts of the body and mind. And I'll be coming to Bergen County on Sunday, February 10th. So I will be presenting the second half, that is the intelligence, right? I'll just present the body and mind today, and the intelligence and ego, the very subtle aspects of chanting I would like to present in person. And I really have a thrill presenting these things because it took me years of practice and research to actually get here. And whenever I present this, I feel so much thrill. All right, so let's start with this. So I have made a presentation. Okay. So we start with healthy life, healthy chanting. So health is at 5 levels according to Ayurveda, according to Yoga Shastras, according to Bhagavatam. So we have 5 layers. So first is Annamaya, physical body. Then second is Pranamaya, right? So pranamaya is the prana, the airs. Okay, we have prana in the chest, apana in the downward air, eliminating samana in the stomach. Who is samana? Vaishwanara Agni in your stomach. Interestingly, the entire Ayurveda and yoga is focused on one thing only. What is that? The Agni in your stomach. Why? The Agni in your stomach is Lord Vishnu. And let me tell you one thing very important. When I learned this definition, I was amazed. Why do you get deceased? Why do we get deceased? It says it is called pradnya aparada, intellectual mistake. If you eat something which is not right for you, if you act in a way which is not right for you, what is that Krishna says? Don't, one who does not sleep well enough or who sleeps too much, one who eats too little or eats too much, one who works too hard or too little. In Ayurveda, it says if you don't use your body optimally or use your body too much, if you don't use your senses optimally or use your senses too much, it is pradnya aparada, intellectual mistake. And there is no excuse. Like if you go to Google, I was trying to find out for my PhD, what are the types of exercise that you are beneficial for you. And very interestingly, what I found, most athletes die by the age of 65. And who is saying this? There was a TED talk and this doctor, he starts with a sentence saying, I hope I am not too late. Because we have been told you should do cardio, you should do weights, you should do bench press, all these things. And when you over exercise in Ayurveda, it already says it consumes too much prana. If you're running just enough there is a certain heart rate, and it's all in my PhD thesis. If you do exercise with a certain heart rate, certain focus, so that's why yoga qualifies all these things. So there is called aerobic and anaerobic. So what happens in anaerobic, if you see most, those who go to gym, they do anaerobic, means they don't breathe enough to supply their muscles with enough oxygen, because when you do too much pressure, there is lactic acid. When you do yoga, you breathe the right amount and this acid is balanced. Don't get tight. If you see those with tight body, they are like this. And many of them cannot maintain this when they are late age, when they are 65, 70. And many of them die because of overuse of the senses. So that's when I remember Krishna says, don't overuse. And he says most of these gym builders, they die by 65. Whereas yogis, you see BK Sangar, Krishnamacharya, all lived 100, 105, 110. There's one Vaishnava yogi, he lives 120 years, who got Padma Bhushan recently. So we can see the difference in the Vedic science and the modern science, right? I'm not saying it's all wrong, but the thing is the pranic balance, nobody thinks of, which is there. It says to chant focused, you need to focus all your prana, because the focus of the mind depends on pranic shakti. And that depends on, if you overeat and you are bloated, you cannot focus on pranic shakti. If you eat too little, you cannot focus on pranic shakti. So that is why you need to have a balance. You cannot be depressed and overeat, or be depressed that I have to do this every day. No, you have to enjoy doing it. You have to enjoy. Like when I was doing my yoga, after some time doing every day, I have to fight this, I have to keep myself healthy. And I was doing too hard. Then my teacher told me, no, you have to, if you don't enjoy, then you won't. Then I remembered the word, Susukham kartum avyayam. You should enjoy being that disciplined. You should enjoy, be enthusiastic. And that will take you to the next level, just that enthusiasm. In trying to focus, in trying to surrender, in every chanting, in every mantra. Okay, now coming back to the 22 hours. So we have these 5 layers. So these 3 layers are in your heart: mind, intelligence, and ego. They are the subtle body. They are very small, but the influence is big. It is said, for example, the pranic airs are 10 fingers around you, the influence. Mind is even bigger. Intelligence is even bigger because you can think so much. And ego connects you to the universe. Now our body, now I'll talk about the physical body and the mind today. Okay. Now our physical body has 5 elements, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? In our body. So what happens is the physical body, the earth and water combine to make kapha, your physical structure. Okay, your physical structure is called as kapha in Ayurveda. All your digestive juices, blood, hydrochloric acid, bile juice, plasma, all these things are called pitta. Okay, blood, all these things, all that is moving. Okay. Third, you have air, right? Air pressure, air and ether. What is ether? Space. So when I speak to you, you don't see the sound, but there is sound. Where is that sound? That is in sound. It is called ether, space. Your mantra is, so your heart also has space. It's not like, it's very compact. It's not like physical space. You can accommodate so much sound. When you keep on hearing for a long time, you cannot process because it gets full. So that's why when you look at nature, it opens up, relaxes, and then you can hear. So you have to clear the space, ether, akasha, what do we call akasha, sound. So the combination of ether and air makes vata in your body. This is fundamentals of Ayurveda, and there is something interesting connected to this which I want to share with you. So all diseases in Ayurveda are an imbalance of kapha, pitta, vata. All of us have kapha to a certain degree, pitta and vata. So those are kapha dominated, physically big, right? So those who are pitta dominated, they are a little bit lean. Vata dominated are very lean because you are dominated by air. What is the function of air? It maintains pressure, movement. For example, the blood goes from your toe to your heart, to your head. How is that? Pressure difference, right? So that is Vata. So this movement, old transport mechanism. So Kapha is the physical structure. Pitta is the all the chemicals moving, and Vata is the movement. Now, why is this important? Because the qualities of lust, anger, greed are connected to imbalance of Kapha, Pitta, Vata. I was surprised to see this. And it says by bringing the body in balance, by bringing the prana in balance, one can control the shadripus, the six enemies, because of your ability to respond. Many times we know we are Atma, we are this, we are that. But suddenly when we have to get angry, we get angry. We get uncontrolled angry. Right? We cannot control our anger. Why? We have not balanced the body and mind ready to fight. So whenever the anger strikes, whenever this prajna aparadha strikes, we should be ready to fight with intellect, buddhi. So the buddhi should be sharp, right? So it says, I won't go through the whole disease process, but I will show you the important point. So kapha. So if your kapha in the body, right, physical structure, if you overeat, if you don't balance, what happens? You could become obese, you could become diabetes, you could have diabetes, you could have fluid retention, congestion. But psychological effects. If one eats too much, if one eats too much, doesn't eat fast too much, doesn't balance enough, what happens? Kapha imbalance lead to attachment, greed, and envy. So if somebody is overeating, so after some time, he become very attached, attached to the whole fat, because the toxins in the body, your mind is influenced by the toxins. This is in Ayurveda. When in balance, when you eat the right amount, balance your body, everything, it says that same kapha in your body influences, gives you calmness, forgiveness, and love. Right? Now, pitta is imbalanced. So those who eat very spicy foods, those who eat hot foods, spicy, imbalanced, like too hot in by nature kind of foods all the time, or pitta imbalanced foods. So what happens? It slowly, as your ulcer, as your intestines become hot, as your blood becomes imbalanced, all these things, you get anger, jealousy, and hatred. It can cause ulcers, acid reflux, and then what happens? Anger, hot flashes, rashes, skin conditions. So sometimes, like for example, one of the first patient we had in our yoga clinic, he had a what do you call that? Hmm, uh, bronchitis. Okay, bronchitis. Now, why was that bronchitis? Because his son ran away from home. Mm. So, because of that shock, he suddenly there was inflammation, So because of shock, there was inflammation. So similarly, if we are always in a state of panic, shock, stress, it leads to inflammation in the body. That is why one has to also balance his day-to-day activities. You should not take so much stress that your body becomes inflamed, then your breathing becomes tough, then you cannot focus on your chanting. If you have aches, pains, inflammation, especially if you have inflammation. So eating too spicy, eating too much, eating, so you can see all what it leads to. That's why our Acharya said, Atyahara prayascha prajalpo niyamagraha, janasangascha laulyamcha. All these qualities are explained here. Then next one, we go to Vata. Okay, so Vata, the air pressure, the air balance. So those who are physically very weak, you see, those who are physically very lean, they are most prone to anxiety, nervousness, tremors, spasms, pains very quickly, especially in winter and everything. So, scattered thoughts. So, that is why one should not be too weak or too fat. One should have the right amount of muscle. And very interestingly, I found when I was researching for my book, I found why in Ayurveda it states those who are vata body, vata imbalanced body, they are prone to 80 diseases, anxiety, or dryness, weakness, all these things. Those who are pitta, they are prone to 40 diseases. Those who are kapha imbalanced, they are prone to 20 diseases. Why? Because your right amount of fat balances has all the nutrients. So I made a chart for the new book. After my lot of research, I had to read books after books. And how much you need in the body, how much you need per day. So for example, you need per body weight, how much kilos you are, you need that many grams of protein, okay, pure protein. And then you need fat. Okay, fat can be a little bit better, more. But there is nothing called carb. You need carbohydrates only if you are working physically in the fields. You need little carbohydrate for satisfaction, like rice or millet or something. But if you look at the proportion, we have too much carbohydrate. And that is why there is a diabetes epidemic today. Because previously people used to work physically in the fields and consume those carbohydrates. And because of that imbalance, kapha, right? I was in Montreal 2 months ago, and I was there on a Canada tour. I was touring different yoga studios, doing mudra workshop, yoga therapy workshop, Ayurveda workshops, and it was a very good response. And then last day I was in Sunday Feast in Montreal. And somehow, because now all this is in my head, after a long time I was doing Sunday, I was looking at different people. And I was trying to speak and understand with many different devotees. And most of them, when I asked, they had so many difficulties with the chanting, sitting, and like most of them in their 40s had so many health issues. And after the discussion, many of them were able to, most of them kept in touch and now are able to chant, like bring it to a balance. So I created a group with all of them, and I share all these tips, like what we eat, what we don't eat, and all these benefits and losses. And I saw that it's just a question of prajna, awareness. So when you become conscious, so when you say Krishna conscious, first you have to be conscious. So if we do something without asking a question, right? What are the 5 factors of intelligence? First is pramana, right? One is pramana. First thing, whatever you do, am I eating right? Ask the question. Am I balanced? Ask the question. Hmm? So pramana, viparya, vikalpa, nidra, smrtayaha, the qualities. So it's very important to whatever you are doing, it should be scientific based. So whatever says, Ayurveda says, I have enough papers to support, scientific papers, research papers to support what it says. Because in the kapha, for example, one of the causative factors for diabetes is uncontrolled anger. Either you already have diabetes, so you have anger, depression, anxiety already, or if you are already having these things when you're in the teen, because of all your activities, you will be prone, you can predict. So there is a predictor scale. So, as a devotee, we can also develop a check. Am I balanced? Do I have all these qualities? And those are the qualities of the mind. And I will show you in the next slides the qualities of the mind. So, if we want that level of chanting, so what are the 6 functions of the mind? First, according to Ayurveda. So, first is called Indriya Nigraha, control of the senses. But mind needs a balanced body. Otherwise, the mind cannot control the body. If your body is like, if we have an imbalanced body, no matter what you think of trying to do with the mind, you can't do it because the faculties are not under control. The mind acts through prana and prana acts through kapha pitta vata. Your prana has to flow. So prana has to direct in the mind. For that, body has to be stable. And for the prana to flow into the body, then the body faculties have to be in balance for the right prana to flow. The second is self-restraint, swasya nigraha. The third is logical interpretation. The third function of the mind is uha, logical interpretation. The fourth function of the mind is vichara, thinking. Right? We say thinking, feeling, willing and feeling, right? Feeling and willing. And attention and meditation. And the last function of the mind is sankalpa. So this requires ojas. Ojas, tejas, prana. So ojas is mental strength. Tejas is intelligence. So ojas, when your kapha in the body is balanced, so you have ojas. So it is said, for example, diabetes is such an epidemic. Ojas is reduced because the foods that we eat are so malnourished. There is no energy in the foods. There is no ojas. So what you eat should have the potential to become ojas. But if you eat poorly nourished food, so then what happens? There is lack of ojas. So that is one of the reasons most people are weak mentally because there is no ojas. So is your food nutritious enough to nourish the mind? Are you eating ghee? Are you eating fresh vegetables? Are you cooking fresh? Right? Or are you eating just pizza or something, pasta, which is high in sugar? No ojas. Right? Is your food ojas kara? Is your food tejas kara? Is your food giving you prana? Right? Sprouts, all these things, in Ayurveda. So, attention and meditation. So, mind needs the balance of the kapha pitta vata. It takes the essence. When you eat, the physical part becomes physical strength, feces. The mental part of it becomes ojas. The mental strength comes from also your food and your physical activity. Because when you do physical activity, when you do yoga, the food, the fat, everything converts into ojas when you do yoga. When you do pranayama, the ojas level rises like anything. And that is what reversed my diabetes with the pranayama, with the mantra chanting. So, resolution, decision making. So, this requires mind and intelligence balance. Right? Now, let's see. 14 qualities of a strong mind. So, test yourself. Okay? 14 qualities. What are the 14 qualities of a strong mind? Do you have a strong mind? Good memory. The first quality of a good mind is pratimanta. Second is devotion. He's always in devotion. Bhakti manta sometimes, right? Or all the time. Check the percentage. Gratefulness. He's kritagya. And today, by research, they have found in mindfulness and gratefulness that the brain circuit changes. When you become grateful, you think in a totally different way. So that's why Brahmana is called as Kartagnya, right? Kartagya. Right? Ungrateful Kartagya, they become very pitta imbalanced. Wisdom, the quality of strong mind, wisdom. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says 2 words, Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana means I know I am Atma, I know I have to be very good and all these things. But Vijnana is when you have attained it. When I'm speaking, I'm not speaking, okay, if you do this, you get this. No. Somebody asks me, can you reverse any chronic disease? Yes. Ashtanga Yoga Bhakti, you can reverse anything, but you have to be balanced. Pizza only once in 15 days. Okay, very difficult. So we try to balance. So then, Shuchavo, purity and cleanliness. You don't let your mind fill up with a lot of things. You only fill it up with those thoughts which increase ojas. For example, if you are depressed, you have no ojas. Your ojas is decreasing. If you're watching all violent movies, all these things, your ojas goes down because it continuously pegs you down. Or if you're thinking of conflicts all the time, mahotsaha, enthusiasm, daksha, alertness, skillfulness, dhira, courage, patience, dhirastatra namukhyati, right? Bhagavad Gita. Courage. So one who is dhira, one who's patience, right? Patience. You go to Braj, Parikrama. The first person you see is Lota Baba. Lota Baba is waiting after Krishna left Braj. He is waiting there. Still, even today, right? Look at the patience. So that's the patience of a devotee. He's still waiting for Krishna after 5,000 years. There's a beautiful deity of Lota Baba. Valor in fighting for good things. So identify good things and fight for it. Free from sorrow and depression. So if you have a good mind, you are free from depression. Once I wrote to my Guru Maharaj after my initiation, 1 year after initiation, Maharaj, I am depressed. He said, oh, that. He said, devotees are not supposed to be depressed. He said, we have to bring others out of depression. So, because initiation means beginning, right? I was very little. I was like 21. I'm not little, but I was 21, 22 when I got initiated. So then he says, what is the qualities of a good mind? Continued, great mind. Gait and movement, your enthusiasm when you walk, right? When you're depressed, like as I practice the Ashtanga, as I practice all this, I can see the back becomes straight, your enthusiasm improves, your prana is flowing well, right? Gambhira buddhi, deep wisdom. If you look at Prabhupada, is very deep. What do you call that? Uh, uh, there's a particular word, gravity. There is depth in his thinking. You just don't quickly make an answer. That is vata. One who quickly makes a decision. One has to think, understand, digest, and the decision has to come. But that depends on your level of. Actually, in Christianity, for example, overeating, gluttony, eating till the glut is a sin. So similarly in Ayurveda, prajna aparada, overeating also disturbs your decision-making faculty. Overeating also closes your nadis and stops you from making the right decisions. So that is why yogi means he's always balanced. Proper connotation, cheshta, proper desires, basically. Always indulged in welfare activities. So these are the qualities of a good mind. You have to test. And rest of all, the Charaka Samhita, there is a long list. It describes the different levels of sattvic mind, different levels of rajasic mind, and different levels of tamasic mind. But it says that only in sattva can the mantra flow. Only when you are in sattva guna. So here in this, you can see lust, anger, greed, confusion, envy, egoism, grief, anxiety, fear, exhilaration, depression, affliction, jealousy. These are the causes of imbalance. These are the causes of disease. So therefore, if you want a strong mind, one should associate with those who have a strong mind. One should have a lifestyle that creates a strong mind. For that, your diet is so crucial. Your sleep is crucial. Yuktahara viharasya. Krishna has summarized everything. That one verse, but the entire Ayurveda is an explanation of that verse. So if you eat well, sleep well, then your interaction, relationships, because you are keeping on fighting, you are always thinking of how to take revenge, how to fight with, even if it's fight with the, wife, husband fights, you have kids and other things, any bad thought, any revengeous thought, it really affects your pitta, it affects your kapha, it affects your vata, and over time it builds up. Just like you hear this, he died of a sudden heart attack. There is nothing called sudden heart attack. Everything you get has built up over a period of 7 to 8 years. And it manifested at that time. For example, one devotee came from Seattle. He came here. He was very lean. and he had heart blockage. And he asked me, Prabhuji, what should I do? The doctor said surgery. So this is one of the congregation. I have his, I have to put it on my website. He gave me a nice testimonial. So I told him, Prabhuji, I'll give you my Trikatu ghee. So we make Ayurvedic ghee. So I told him, I'll give you Trikatu ghee. So Trikatu is ginger, black pepper, long pepper. Okay. Because the fat, you are lean, but you have bad fat. So he took it. I said, take 7 spoons a day. So he was like, oh my God. So I said, no, you need good cholesterol, not bad cholesterol. Because the biggest reason today of all diseases is the bad oils. So there is very scientific explanation today. Like for example, canola. Canola was a waste. In Canada, they could not get any other coconut or any other healthy substance. And they needed some grease for World War II. And canola was a cheap, easy one. After that, those factories never stopped. Then they said, hey, let's advertise and sell this to the people. And that's how canola oil started. And it is the most unhealthiest oil that it's like industrial waste. But we have OJs. It has no OJs. It has omega-6. It completely inflames the body. And that is the main reason why diabetes is 40% today. So you have to understand the history of foods, why Ayurveda recommends certain things, why Ayurveda recommends ghee. And with this, I've seen the change. And even for my own thing, that's why I started making this herbal ghee. And these herbs, for example, Brahmi, Brahma created Brahmi to improve the intelligence. So when you fuse all these aspects of the Veda and understand they're all moving towards bhakti. So a dietary balance. And if you see these qualities of the mind, one should, and if you look at how the Srimad Bhagavatam is designed, like in Skanda Purana, it says, the 6 enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. I said this in one of the previous classes. I don't remember. But a long time ago, I had explained this. It was very beautifully explained that Kama, Krodha, anger, right? Lust, anger, greed. So anger already has lust. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, greed. If you are greedy, then you already have lust and anger. Moha, attachment. If you already have attachment, then you have the previous 3. Mother, if you have madness, you have the previous 4. And enviousness, you have all the previous 5. Enviousness is helpless. So that's why Krishna says, that is why it is said in the Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, it says, for those who are non-envious, nirmatsaranam satam. You have to give up envy voluntarily. That's where it starts. But that's not so easy if your lifestyle, because bhakti you get, but how much you progress depends on how you manage the body, the mind. You should be able to see your own imbalance. You should be able to see the mind. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it says that until and unless you are aware of your own mind, the root of the thoughts in your own mind, you won't be able to understand others very clearly. You might commit offense. You have to be very clear. So that's why yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. And the Bhagavatam begins with the Nirmat Saranam. And that struck me that you actually start reversing your 6 enemies. And in the 10th canto, the lust, when you reverse it in that direction, the lust turns into love. The kama, right, turns into prema for Krishna. So all these negative qualities are reversed completely. So your heart opens up and all these 6 enemies are conquered. And you reach a state, just like Parikshit Maharaj, where eating, sleeping is completely conquered. So as you progress in bhakti, all these states, all these stages of overeating and all this disturbed mind, all these are, you conquer it and you are chanting every day. Susukham kartum avveyam. It becomes full of joy. And how to capture it is very beautiful. How to focus on intelligence, how to be aware of each activity. So that's why we wrote this book, which is all that I shared. This is all from our upcoming book. Plus also I worked on a new book called Mudras. Like people struggle to sleep, struggle to, so many different issues. But we found that when you do mantras or everything with proper mudras. So this is called as the new book on the mudras we were making. So this has mudras for kapha, pitta, vata. So we began this book and it's almost done. The last part I was doing today, so we have mudras for chakras. The last part I was doing today and practicing again and again was the mudras on Gayatri. And you chant Hatha Yoga mudras. So last 4 years I've been working on this. And what I found the most beautiful thing was when you chant the Gayatri, originally Gayatri was chanted with the mudras. So here at the last part, wait a minute, it's here with the Gayatri. So each Shabda of Gayatri is chanted with the mudras, Om Bhur Swa and everything, and it gives you a totally different flow of energy. So for example, like this. So we put all these aspects together, the diet, the balance in all your activities, yukta hara, yukta vihara, yukta chesta. So all your activities, you should not get into, like, for example, some of even our sannyasis fall down. If you see that happened is because overactivity, and even they themselves say, like, if they would have been balanced, they could have maintained the Krishna consciousness. So it's all about balance. So if we have the right balance, so you understand your body, you understand your samskaras, and that's what is all about guidance. So when you take guidance from Shiksha Guru, from Diksha Guru, so he's Prabhupada, they say he could read the mind, he could tell them their samskara, he could tell what they should do. And all these tools in the Vedas is to give you a balanced, healthy life so that you can do the ultimate activity of devotion. So just by keeping it in balance, you are actually, by eating the right amount, you are pleasing the Agni in the stomach. Just by not engaging your mind in fighting, in all other, negative activities, you are pleasing the Lord. He says, of all the senses, I am the mind. Right? You are directly connecting with the Lord. So if you see in the Bhagavad Gita, he gives all the clue. So every moment, if we are aware, so that is called Otam Protam. I am aware of my body. I am aware of the higher faculties. Every moment, the sun, moon, Paramatma, Agni, the mind, Krishna, Devatas, they're all watching. I'm always under observation. Every thought. In Kali Yuga, thoughts are given a little bit of leeway. But the intention, everything, the Lord is gauging. How can I cheat? How I have to be genuine. So we have to understand all these aspects and then plan. And then Lord will take us. We do our best and leave the rest. All right. So these are some aspects of the book and the presentation that I that I am making. I'll be there in about February 10th. So I want to present the intelligence and ego aspect, how we can sharpen the mind and intelligence in our lifestyle. What is the philosophical aspects and how the Bhagavatam guides us. So thank you. I hope it was. I can go on, but I don't know how much time we have. But this is. I feel it's something we can understand. And any questions, comments, welcome. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this wonderful session. So it was really, I think, very, very important part of as being devotee. Sometimes we become very sentiment, and we really don't care about the aspect of health. Which actually eventually, like you were saying, even some sannyasis, getting difficult to continue. So as even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, like health as the first thing. Like if your health is down, you can even chant. So definitely taking care of health is very, very important. So just wanted to make a few announcement that again we have every Sunday program at 4:30 in our center. Please visit there, and we are speaking on Bhagavad Gitas, and also every Wednesday as we have Wednesday Sangha. Please again do not try to miss this wonderful association. We are trying to bring devotees all around from different circle, so that we can have get this knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, and wonderful topic that again Prabhuji is speaking. So And other thing we have is like, every morning we have 6 a.m. Japa. And as we definitely, that's one of the most important aspect of Krishna consciousness. So even if you can give it 1 round, 2 round, like you can join anytime from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. We're all there. So please come and join. Whoever want to practice something, sincerely, this is the wonderful opportunity that has been created, all of us. And also we have Bhagavad Gita reading. Somebody wants to read Bhagavad Gita, with the verses and translation. So every Monday to Friday, we have Bhagavad Gita reading. So at 12 p.m. with the same Zoom, you can join for the Japa call also. And we are again thankful. So thank you so much, Prabhu. So devotees, whoever have questions, you can send in the chat or you can raise a hand. So I'll start with one question. One devotee is asking that, when we try to really eat fully healthy, what happens is uh, like we notice that the either your craving is too spicy or too sweet. So how can we control this craving without indulging in any unhealthy foods?
So first thing is when we want to control something, it doesn't happen overnight. First thing we have to understand. So there will be something called withdrawal symptoms because we are used to a certain type of taste, we are used to a certain type of diet and everything. So it takes a little bit of time for us to adjust to the new diet. Just like you eat something new, the taste, it takes a little bit of time to settle down. So one of the things that I did was have plenty of ghee. So when I'm coming, I'll get some of our herbal ghees too. So I started having Brahmi ghee, for example. And what you need is satisfaction, ojas. Because in Bhagavad Gita, the austerity of the mind is to be satisfied. So one thing I philosophically, I once I wrote this chart, I realized I will when I come, I will bring this printout. I will share it with you also on February 11th. I will share this. So this part of my book also. So if you have the right nutrient, so I had to convince myself mentally that I'm having all that I need, the vitamin, the protein, the fat, how much I need, I have it. Not like every day, but like within a period of a week, I cover all that I need. You don't have to eat everything every day. You have to eat once in certain days. So once I made that chart intellectually, I understood that if I eat this much, my physical needs are met. My intellectual, my mental needs are met. Now, what am I eating for is taste extra. Right? So can I avoid it? Is it needed for me? So like this philosophically, my energy levels were good, my mind was good, I was able to balance. So I did not have to, I convinced myself very clearly, and gradually all that taste, all that need went away because mentally I was satisfied. I was convinced all that I needed for my maintenance I could do. So in this way, one has to have a clear understanding that this is what I need. I have satisfied it. Now I don't need to eat for taste, right? It's a philosophical thing also. At the same time, one needs to be also physically active. So you should have some exercise, aerobic exercise, or you should have some form of yoga in your daily routine. Because without movement, what happens is your vata, your prana gets stuck. So that is why yoga was a part of yagya. Yoga was a part of the daily routine. Pranayama was a part of the daily routine where you move the prana and you feel fresh. You should feel fresh. Like every day I practice my yoga. At the end of it, I feel so fresh. So you feel fresh. Prabhupada says one should keep his intelligence fresh. So then you have the ability to fight. You won't give away, right? So it's few things. It's intellectual as well as you have to physically, or at least take a walk, relax. You should move the body. Prana. Human body is designed to move, not sit down. But unfortunately, we are sitting down today for 8, 9 hours. So we have to move. So move the prana. Then your mind is very relaxed and your thinking becomes. Otherwise, if you're sitting, you're stressed, then all these things create a problem. So you have to plan it out and and get into that routine. So it's an Ayurvedic plan. Okay.
And also, I've heard like, one of the major, I think many devotees are nowadays getting overweight. And I heard like, eating potatoes, like, doesn't create overweight because there's low calorie. Like, if we intake more potatoes, like, boiled potatoes, not like fried and everything, does that help?
Oh no, actually, potato is something I tell everyone to avoid. We don't need potatoes actually. So, if you look at it, potato has the highest starch. So there is something called, you can look it up, called glycemic index. Okay, glycemic index. That's how you decide what you want to eat. Now, potatoes was introduced in India by the Portuguese. Okay, it is not an Indian vegetable. Number one. Number two, they brought potatoes because it was a filler. The nutrient value is very low. It has only glucose. Those who eat potatoes, they have to work hard physically. You have to literally work so hard to expend that glucose. So it was helpful when 80% of India or even the US, they were physically very active. If you see, most people were physically very active. But in today's lifestyle, when you're sitting 8 hours, this potato, by the way, the in to measure diabetes, they check the sugar level, right? What does sugar level mean? Your body needs to have 1 spoon of sugar at a given point of time. You eat 1 plate rice, it is 13 spoons of sugar. You eat 1 potato, it's almost 8 to 9 spoons of sugar. It shoots up so high. Until and unless you are planning to spend all that sugar, you will keep raising your sugar levels so high. So that is why, and it is gassy too. So it is said what happens is if you eat too much gassy foods, it says mantra also floats. Your mind also floats because you have too much gas, right? Gassy foods. So if you eat sattvic, kapha balanced foods, then your mind, that's why like khichdi with ghee, okay, like balanced amount of not too much rice, not too much dal, but not eating too much carb also. So right amount with ghee, with vegetables. So you should have that balance. So sprouts. So that's why in our book we have all these things we have mentioned how you can get all your nutrients over a period of like a week. You plan your meal for a week, you have it. But potatoes, eggplant, these are considered highly tamasic in Ayurveda.
Thank you, Pro, again. Anybody has any other questions? Yeah. It doesn't seems like. So again, Prabhu, like it's really wonderful. And as you were saying, you're coming
Hare,
here. Yes, somebody was asking. Okay, Mate, go ahead.
yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving such a wonderful class, Prabhu. It was very, very informative and very practical. So I have a question that, sometimes parents comes to me. I teach Sunday school. So sometimes parents come to me and they ask me that their children, they actually brought up eating pizza, pasta, these kind of things. And in their daily routine, they are not habituated eating dal, rice, roti, sabji. So I have seen that even they sometimes go to somebody else's house. Um, there is a separate preparation made for them as pasta or pizza. And it is very hard to convince them since, they eat these things for so many years. So, how do we convince them and how do we change their habits? Uh, you also have children, and how do you do that with your children? I mean,
Oh, good question.
oh,
So what we did was, so we made some tweaks. So first thing we did was the pizza base, for example, when we eat, we use soft organic cheese, so not hard cheeses. So cheese, I came to know, actually contains calcium, which is good, but not too much. You have to eat balanced, not every day. But when we make the base with the millets. We make our own base with the millets. Okay, we don't use white flour. So if you visit my wife's page, she has a lot of these bases she has made and everything. And with that, they are not eating white flour. The problem with pizza is the base. It's just white flour. right? So white flour is very high in sugar. It has nothing, no nutrition at all. You have to look any food you eat, you have to ask if it's nutritious, not just tasty. So what happened is we did that. Then we get pasta, but it's pure millets. There is no white flour. Okay. So you can use millets. Millets are low in sugar. They are high in like digestive. They have protein called B6, B16. Very good. So you have all these things. So you eat nutritious. So instead of avoiding, you give them in a different way. Like we make cookies, but we make with almond flour and all different kinds of flour she gets. So she makes it like very tasty, but without using white flour. White flour, wheat flour, enriched flour, multigrain, all these things, but just almond flour, millet flour. If you use millet flours, almond flours, coconut flour, they are very balanced in sugar. So in that way, even if they are eating these things, the taste is the same. Second thing, we got addicted to like barley. Barley is the best because they need plenty of starch to grow. So barley soups, like make it tasty. So we make it tasty according to them, and they love it. So it's like that. So even if we make bread, we make mostly with we make our own, but with barley flour, rye flour, and millet flour. So we mix all of them, and then we make our own healthy bread. So, and we add plenty of nutrients, the chutneys and everything with multi nuts and all these things. So it becomes very healthy. So in
So
that
do you have
way,
these recipes in your book?
yeah, we have, yeah. We have all these
Okay.
things, yeah. And it's in
Mm.
our blog also. Plus, we have already 3 books, 3 books on Amazon called, if you look for Detox Delights for Diabetes and Weight Loss, that has a lot of recipes. And then there's one book when I come, I'm getting Food for the Soul. That was my first book that Shilpi Mataji showed.
Right.
And yeah, and we have our blogs, we have all these things. So yeah.
Yeah. And two more quick questions is which oil would you recommend? Because I know all these oils we use are refined ones and very harmful
Yeah,
for your heart.
actually, the main cause of disease today is the oils. I mean, I have my clients, all my Ayurvedic clients, I have in one group, and I shared with them all the research today. Like I told you, canola was a discovery, cheap oil. Like if you go to Indian store and see the Indian snack, it's all made in palm oil. Palm oil is like diesel; it burns you. So the best oil is actually oil. The
Mhm.
best is coconut. In Ayurveda, every oil is made out of sesame oil and coconut oil. Seed oils are bad. So remember this, seed oils. You should avoid seed oils. Anything with the seed. Okay, canola oil is that's a seed, mustard oil, all these are seeds, sunflower oil. Seed oils are omega-6 inflammation. Okay. So best, if you look at deity standard, if Prabhupada, when he came to America, he made everyone make a ghee and then cook with the ghee. So that was deity standard. That was devotee standard also. But somehow, as things went on, it became different. But ghee is the best to cook. We cook mostly with ghee because we make and sell. So we have plenty of ghee. And most of my clients for health issues, I give them different ghees, Brahmi, Ashwagandha. We have Trikatu, all these different ghees for reducing fat, balancing cholesterol. Cholesterol is very important to balance all your endocrine glands. So we cook with either ghee or coconut oil.
Mm.
So when we fry, we do it with the ghee, especially. So ghee is very beneficial, and so either coconut oil or ghee. Sesame oil is also good, but many people don't like the taste. So we recommend either coconut oil or plain ghee to cook.
Okay. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And second one is this that is there any tonic or any medicine like Prash we have to balance these three doshas on a regular basis daily we can take
Yeah,
like
I
Chavan.
actually recommend we have Brahmi ghee. When I'm coming, I'll get. So this
Okay.
Brahmi ghee, even kids who have mental challenges, there are few devotees, I won't mention who they are, but their kids, actually one of my PhD mates is doing on my Brahmi ghee. He's doing experiment with children with mental challenge. And these devotees, there were a couple of them in the US, and they said that they found a lot of calmness in the kids after they give our ghee. Even my son was very, his overactivity. But when we give him a Brahmi ghee and we give him mentat, so there is also a syrup called mentat and Brahmi. So these are the two that actually we have to slip it into their food. Like when we give rice dal or something, anything cooked, you put like 4 spoons of Brahmi and you have to feed them. Rice dal, I put Brahmi ghee and I feed them. And they sleep well, they focus well. So Brahmi was created by Brahma just to improve your brain. Brahmi is from Brahma. Next is there is a tonic called Mentat. If you want to, that's also very good for the mind. So these are two things. Very, very good for kids and adults also, because we are also need Brahmi. Actually, ghee is your brain fat, right? In Ayurveda, whatever you eat becomes rasa rakta, glucose, rakta, blood, mamsa, muscle, medas, fat. Now, this fat is not belly fat, it is the nerve fat. So, ghee is that nerve fat. It directly enters into your brain tissue, this fat tissue, and it nourishes it. So, that is why ghee is so critical,
Okay.
especially for kids to develop the brain. So, Brahmi ghee, I would recommend, yeah. And the
And
mentat.
Shatavari, I've heard about
Shatavari
that
is for
also a lot.
grown up. Yeah, Shatavari is mostly for ladies, for women,
Okay.
with the periods and all that. But it's not like it's good. Like asparagus, it's the Indian cousin. So a lot of asparagus if kids eat, it's good. But this is Brahmi and mentat are two things. Brahmi ghee and mentat, who I would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noted
Yeah.
that.
But
Thank you so much. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Namaste.
So
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Kirit Prabhu has somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
had a question about when we do the Ekadashi fasting, the Faradi food, potato is the main thing. And you said potato is not good.
yes. So I have a video I made. So what happens is that day, Ekadashi, the 11th day of the moon, I did a lot of research on why is it scientifically good to fast. It's a long, I made a 14-minute video. I'll send it to Ramchandra Prabhu. You could probably share it in your group. So in this, I have explained basically what happens is that day your digestion is weak, number one. Okay. And we should eat foods. So there is actually speaking, it is said there is food for the brain, food for the body, and food for, like that. So like potato, if you look at it, it is high in glucose. It does not have ojas. In Ayurveda, like ghee has the highest ojas. Anything you eat, you finally see that does it convert into the 7 levels. The quality of food that you eat is the quality of blood, is the quality of fat, is the quality of semen, is the quality of bone marrow. Everything depends on the quality of food that you eat, the quality of oils that you eat. So when you take uh, potato, it is so high. And when you are fasting, when your digestion is weak, you are actually raising your sugar even more. It actually hits your liver even harder. So there was no mention of potato in Eka. If you look at Hari Bhakti Vilas, it says one should eat minimum. Like first it says no, not even a drop of water, not even brushing. Sanatan Goswami says, not even brushing, just chant the whole day. That is number one. Second, if you cannot, jalam, water. You cannot do that. Some kind of thing mixed mint or something like that with water. Right? If you cannot do that, then fruit. Right? Then it goes to different levels of fruit. But then if you cannot do that, vegetable. Right? But then comes like grain. We are choosing the last option, basically. So ideally, if you fast, the benefits are so much. It outdoes all the eating. So Ekadashi is like it's the time moon is at a point where your body, from there to the new moon, your digestion is the weakest. So if you fast that time, but from Ekadashi to new moon, if you fast, then the next day you eat ojaskara foods. That is why you should take plenty of ghee and herbs. From Ekadashi to full moon, your energy increases like anything. So it's like a double-edged sword. But instead of that, if we take something like this, it actually raises your sugar and the benefit that you get. In fact, even Madhvacharya goes on to say that when you fast this Jataragni, this Vaishwanara Agni, the Lord Vishnu, he becomes pleased, and this Agni burns away all your sin. So that is why in Madhvites, if you see, they fast whole day and whole night. They call it Harivasara. Even today, they are awake whole night. And the next day also, they take only Tirtham. They take 3 times Keshavaya Nama, Narayana Madhavaya Nama. Next day also, they take only Tirtham and juices, and then they take solid food the day after. So Madhvacharya has written like very like tons of literature on the benefits of fasting. So because of that, they always fast. And if you see, it maintains your health. If you do 72 hours, not 72, 48 hours of like 24 hours intense fasting and then light fasting the next 12 hours, in a 15-day period, scientifically it's proven that it prevents most diseases, including cancer. So that is why Ekadashi has like multiple benefits. However, if you take something like potato, which raises sugar so high, it makes you full, and the fasting benefit that you are supposed to get, the ketosis, the reversal of sugar, the fat reversal in the liver, all these scientific aspects, you will be missing out on that. So that is why that is something which I'll share that video, you can watch it. I came out of it because it's in my book. I've explained the whole analysis of fasting, and like 1 day fast, 3 day fast, Kartik, 1 full month fast, how you should do, because you should not fast in such a way that body cannot recover, becomes very weak. Some people do that kind of fast, but you should fast just right. But you should become healthy first, then fast. Because if you are, it is not me. And there is so many holistic doctors, they say, who are now intermittent fasting experts. If you look at intermittent fasting, the whole YouTube is like full of it. And there are so many doctors giving so many research. You go to PubMed, like when I search for my PhD in Google search, you said PubMed and the keywords intermittent fasting or something. You look at all the papers, and it says that intermittent fasting, like once in 15 days, all these, and there is detailed description. So foods like these, even holistic doctors, even Western doctors are saying it's not good. And there is a list of ketogenic foods and everything. So it's our great opportunity. Ekadashi is our great opportunity to fast, to not only get rid of sinful reactions, but also to overcome the bodily problem. Bodily, if we have overeaten, all these things, then those sins go away. So it's a great opportunity to fast, but you have to plan the fast. Because if you cannot fast, it is said we have insulin resistance. It is said if you cannot fast, that means your liver is highly toxic. So if you can fast easily, it is said that in those papers, it is said that you have a balance in the body, because only when you have a balance, you can fast really well. So there are so many things I've explained in that video with the scientific papers. I will share it, but there are so many good benefits. I would say you can see. What happened is somehow in our it's like in our society, one place it started, and during Prabhupada's time, mostly everyone would go out in the streets, and they were all young, like 18, 20 years, and they would 8 hours they would dance. So they would eat on Ekadashi, but the same tradition passed on. But today we don't, you know, physically work so hard also going out or something like that. So somehow we can tweak it, because based on our work, you have to eat according to your work, you have to fast according to your work, physical activity, and you will see the benefits.
Right, but I think on the Ekadashi, when you go to the temple, then the prasadam, there is a prasadam with with not what you are telling, the options of the food given to us. So
see, I understand what you're saying. It's basically our practice. So you will find all different people in the temple. What I say is that, like in temple, like Atmatattva Prabhu used to tell a joke that previously during the Prabhupada's time, everybody used to compete how much they are fasting. So like everyone, he would say, Prabhu, I'm just eating like little bit, or some people would say I'm doing it. So somebody asked Atmatattva Prabhu, Prabhuji, you're doing Nirjal? He said, no, I'm doing Nirvayu also. So, so basically we have to inspire from certain devotees who are There are devotees who do nirjal and everything. So it's about taking the inspiration. So temple, of course, we know we have so many devotees to cater to, and Ayurvedic fasting, it's not applicable to like old people or pregnant ladies or something. So it's our choice. I understand it's very tempting, but if we have practiced, it won't tempt us. So that way, even the Sunday feast, for example, it's meant for everyone. There is so many recipe dishes, everything. But if you have a good diet and everything already, then you can take some as prasad. It's not important to eat like a big meal. So basically, your personal practice kind of influences you. And we see the temple as place for everyone. So
Right.
we
You
yeah,
have
we
to
have
cater
to.
to all type of people, right? Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yes, Mita Mataji, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu, my name is Mita. First of all, thank you so much for extensive research on this and sharing this with us. That's amazing. My question for you is, I understand yoga, exercises also focuses on bringing in extra oxygen, and extra oxygen obviously is vital for the organs. So I was curious, have you come across any information how that extra oxygen uh, has any correlation uh, on increasing longevity? Um, I for the way
So
I'm looking at. Oh, okay, yeah. The reason I was just saying, like, you can live without food, but you can't live without an oxygen for even after a minute or two. So I just wanted to see if
yeah,
you had any information about that. Thank you, Prabhu.
yeah. So our lifespan depends on prana. Okay, pranic energy, so to speak. So it says in Ayurveda, for example, overeating decreases. What are the three purposes of food? That is Ayusham Tejam Arogyam, 7th chapter, 17th chapter, sorry. Ayusham Tejam Arogyam, Ayusham. Food increases the duration of life. Tejam, intelligence. Arogyam increases physical strength. So same thing with yoga also. Ayusham Tejam Arogyam. So if you look at the breath converts into pranic energy. If your belly is full, for example, your breathing is very shallow. So most people who have health issues have a big belly or have problems like diabetes and chronic issues because of which they die early because of the complications. Their breath is very shallow. So if you look at the sequence, so first is asana, then pranayama, because eventually your poses should lead you to long, deep breathing. In the Ashtanga Yoga series, if you see, your abdomen goes in fully, what do you call the core? And that is where your pranic energy is. So what happens is if you have a big belly, your prana keeps going downward. But if your abdomen is in, if your core is strong, so it is said the Agni Deepana, the Lord is there in Agni, is the digestion. So the Samana Vayu, he is activated. So your daily practice, Nathamuni considers it as a worship. It's not just exercise. It says when you practice asana, Patanjali says, Prayatna Saithilya Ananta Samapatti Bhyam. What is the perfection of asana? Is when you are able to easily practice and remember the Lord. Ananta Samapatti Bhyam, remembering Lord Shesha, Ananta. And it increases Ananta, your lifespan also. Because there is plenty of research. You can go to PubMed, you can go to YouTube. Human body is made to move. It energizes in the movement. But which movement? If you do heavy lifting and everything, your prana gets blocked. Tight. There was a joke like one gym person, some other guy in the gym, he stuck something on his back. He said, hey, take it out. So he's so tight, he's so big muscles, he's trying to take it out like this. He can't reach it. Whereas in yoga, you become flexible. Why? Your prana moves easily through all corners. Okay? Like I have so many pictures and if you actually see uh, where I was able to do the very difficult poses. I'll show you one. And then what happened with that is completely my movement, my pranic movement changed. Do you see this picture? Okay, if you see this, you see, when I reached this pose, for example, I could completely change the way prana moves in the abdomen. And then actually you felt light, and I could, in my mind, I was being grateful to the Lord for bringing life back to this body. So you see, the life in the body is also the Lord. So what happens when you overeat? The Agni becomes covered. You lose the Lord. Okay. So when you over exercise, when you do the wrong exercise, it also becomes covered. What is happening is our consciousness is covered. We have to uncover it. So when you do asana, when you do pranayama in Rig Veda, it is said before Gayatri. Like when I was little, I was Brahmin, right? Brahmin family. And one Pandit used to come and teach me Gayatri after I got my Upanayanam. And every time we chant the mantra, pranayama eva niyoga. So do you do mantra pranayama? But if you do actual pranayama, your nadis are all clear. And one whose nadis are all clear, one who is able to chant Gayatri purely, his lifespan increases. So the pranayama not just increases your breathing strength, but it also increases your prana, expands your prana. The mantra also expands your prana. If your body comes to sattva guna, that increases your lifespan. Okay, so it's the mode of goodness. So yoga is not just another exercise. It is a pranic flow to increase your sattva guna. Strengthen your body is the physical aspect. It also increases the ojas, tejas, intelligence. I could understand this the way I was writing my PhD thesis. Every day as I practiced, as I meditated, I saw a new light every day. And I was praying to the Lord and to reveal this. And I was chanting. I could see the healing of the mind. So it's a sequence. As you practice, you will realize. So I'm just sharing my realization that this is not just about the physical practice, but if you understand everything, you have to understand prajna, intelligence, the root of why it is practiced. Then when you practice, you will see a beautiful result. So when I took up Ashtanga, I saw this as Nathamuni's inspiration to not just reverse a disease, to be an example, but also to go to higher level. If it can reverse a disease, it can take me to higher aspects too. If I'm able to sit 2 hours in Padmasana and chant my rounds, that was my challenge, and I am able to do. So after you sit and able to chant seamlessly, you will see the difference. And it not just makes you healthy and strong, but it mentally also, it opens you up. All right.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Maybe we can, Ramjan, we can take the last question with yourself and end it. Thank you. We cannot hear you, bro. Yeah, your voice is very low. No, we can't hear anything.
Hare Krishna, is it better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, the wrong microphone. So thank you, Prabhu, wonderful class. And just by seeing the number of devotees still on the call at 10:15 p.m. just shows that how important this topic is, because I know if it was pure Krishna Katha, we would probably have 50% of the crowd on the call right now. But it all begins with health, and if our health is not good, then obviously sadhana is difficult too. So one question I have is that many times we hear, and I've seen in my life as well, that, and usually comes from older people, that when we were growing up, we ate everything and anything. We never looked at calories and etc. And we were always active. So now it's, everybody's focusing on all these things. What would you say to that? And how critical is exercising? Because a lot of the things that you mentioned, I've been eating since childhood, but I also used to work out a lot compared to now, where it's mainly sitting all day long, and that affects our health.
So, like I said, Prabhu, if you look at the present generation and 60s, 70s, 80s, and when all these fast foods and these oils, everything got introduced. So today, the level of chronic diseases is very high. So this concept of nutrition, all these things wasn't that prevalent. And unfortunately, there was a lot of these oils that were introduced. So the present generation is and especially the next generation today. My youngest client for diabetes is actually 11 years old girl, and it is shocking. And she was eating basically just white flour, like white flour and fast foods, and there are many like that. Young people in their 30s, early 30s, early 40s are getting pre-diabetic, diabetic, and due to stress, sitting in one place, lack of exercise. So that made me, like I said, look into the Ayurvedic daily routine. So that is called Dinacharya. So in Dinacharya, it is said ideally, like one has to move according to the day, right? So you have to wake up at Brahma Muhurtam. So Brahma Muhurta doesn't mean like 3 o'clock or something. We can wake up by 5:30, like in a very practical way. And then, but it begins previous night. If you eat heavy previous night, you can't wake up early, because what happens is your body can either sleep or digest. Okay, you can either sleep or digest. You cannot do both. If you have heavy dinner, so many people who wanted to lose belly fat, these things, that things, even if you want to improve your calories, so if you have a belly, that means your body is not digesting the food, it's converting it into fat and storing it for you. Because you eat heavy and you sleep, you don't digest. And over a period of time, that increases. That is the biggest cause of the problem today. And we end up eating like as Indians, carbs in the morning, carbs at lunch, and carbs at dinner, right? So that became kind of routine. Idli vada in the morning, dosa in the afternoon, and rice. But when I got this disease, I had to come out. So then I really realized Ayurveda moves according to the sun, right? So morning, the sun is very soft, light, and then you are supposed to eat very light. So in Ayurveda, morning you take like I started those chia seed lemonades, green juice, fruits, this much. That's all, very light. You don't really eat cooked food. You don't want to, because in modern, how they measure diabetes is the insulin that you raise. So if you eat very light, like berries and all these things, it doesn't, and especially chia lemonades from our book, your insulin doesn't rise very high. So you get hunger at the right time. At that time, you have to eat the most nutritious food. So unfortunately, the ghee and all these things become adulterated in India. Especially, they started using dalda, these things, so liver got burnt. And that's why this whole generation, 40% Americans today are pre-diabetic. Same in India. You go, every fourth person is diabetic today because of that. And mostly people just ate rice, plenty of rice. And most of the rice was very polished. And that is why another reason today, it is very common. So basically, we need to have, if you look at the Udupi temple diet, like if you go there, Brahminical, first they give you sprouts, kosumbari, they say, right? Then they give you 3 types of sabji, palya. So the sabjis were more important, and they were very nutritious, cooked in ghee, like green vegetables and everything. And then little bit of rice, and mostly sambar with plenty of vegetables. Right? The rice is just a filler, and you don't have to have too much. And then you have buttermilk or dahi. Now that has plenty of probiotics. Very interestingly, if you Google, and in my thesis also I have written that why people become diseased is very simple. As you have both good and bad bacteria in your abdomen, okay, called gut bacteria. Okay. Most people got diseased in this generation because when you're a kid, most of us took a lot of antibiotics. That killed good and bad bacteria, both. But you need to cultivate, as your disease increases, your bad bacteria, bad gas, bad stink, right? Cancer, all your good bacteria is gone. You don't digest anything. Everything becomes gas and pitta, right? It burns your body. and you are inflamed to such a degree, when your bad bacteria increases, your inflammation increases, and then your body organs die. That's what happens. All you need to do is detox it and improve. So that is why in Ayurveda there is Virechanam, like the ghee detox. So I started doing this. I started sending our ghee. We have like a herbal ghee. People did this detox and their digestion got better. So after you detox, you throw out everything and then you replace it. The only food, very interestingly, the only food that revives your gut bacteria, that gut bacteria, that good bacteria, the food that it needs comes from ghee, quality ghee. Now, Brahmi ghee, Ashwagandha ghee. So most like this devotee from Seattle, night he takes Ashwagandha, afternoon he takes the Brahmi ghee. So this ghee nourished his gut bacteria, his diabetes completely reversed. Even mine reversed because of the ghee. So we revive the good gut bacteria. We revive your Agni, because there are three things that touch the heart. I had heard it, but now I know. Okay. First is holy name. Second is Charanamrit. Third is ghee. It touches the soul, it seems. So it really does. The Lord becomes happy. In fact, Prabhupada writes in the Gita Nagari essay that yagya of diet, food is not complete without ghee. So one generation completely missed it out. Fortunately, because of all the, revival and so many people. In fact, if you look at some papers which were released, the best cardiac health in India is in Rajasthan, where they have the best ghee because of the cardiac health. They have the Braj cows and the ghee. And that's why it's good cardiac health. Although many papers you will see there are very biased also. They say ghee increases this fat, that fat, but it is good fat. You need that good fat. All your cholesterol depends, your endocrine glands movement depends on cholesterol, and your chanting depends on the balance of your hormones. How calm, collected you are, how do you react? And the best cholesterol that actually balances all your endocrine glands is actually ghee. That's why ghee should be in every meal. That is why it is said in Ayurveda, one should have some animal product. An animal product is the cow, you can either have yogurt, but don't have that sugar yogurt. So when people started coming back to these practices, then new yoga, and you see Krishnamacharya, all these people brought yoga, and that followed up with the ghee and all these things. So somehow now people are coming to a balance. When going to flight in India, I met so many of them. They are becoming aware of this new diet. In India, we see there is a lot of awareness of millets now. People are eating millets for diabetes, all these things. So there was one generation that kind of did not have much, but now this is the information age. And to put your point together, this antibacteria, this, that, people are avoiding now, a lot of antibiotics, this and that. They are taking probiotics instead of antibiotics, taking plenty of ghee, having a balanced diet, and seeing the change. You have to grow your body organically with the good bacteria. And I put that in the book also. Why is it so critical? Like when you do Ekadashi fast, you actually throw out all the toxins, and actually the bacteria grows good from Ekadashi to full moon. The best time to grow bacteria by eating herbs. Like there is a lot. I have explained this. So if you follow this science, and calories, if you see the most holistic doctors, they are saying, don't measure calories. Like you can just take some sugar water and you get all the calories, right? It's not calories. It's the nutrition. So we have, like, I made the table in the book. I have a lecture also, which I shared with our group. I can share that lecture too. So vitamin A, B, D, E, then you have all those, B vitamins, A vitamins. Ghee and milk together give you most of the vitamins. Then you need little green vegetables per day for potassium. And you need some nuts every day, like almond, Brazil nuts. That gives you selenium and other minerals. If you have this much, you have most of your nutrition and you'll never feel weak. And I've tried this over the last 4 years. I've given this diet to numerous people. And it has really brought people to a good balance. So now I think the awareness is much more. And because this science was a little bit lost, because most Ayurvedic doctors also, nobody went through a disease and reversed it. So even they have not much clue. But for me, Krishna put through the oil, oil machine, and I could understand practical Ayurveda. And I see that now, even among Westerners, I have some lot of Western clients. Even when they change the diet, it takes a little bit of time, but I see the change. So now, calories is not the way. Nutrition is the way to measure, and improving good bacteria, and overall you feel the energy, right? So Ayurveda, morning you do this. So one last thing I want to say before I end is, it's we say in our morning prayer, dhyayanstu vams tasya yasya stri sandhyam, right? We chant Gayatri at 3 sandhyas. So I really, if you really focus on it, and to really have an aware and awake mind to chant Gayatri at 3 times a day, you need that lightness in the body, right? You cannot be heavy or overeating or this or that. You have to be balanced throughout the day, and that's what Ayurveda teaches us, to be balanced throughout the day. And the sandhyas are the best time to explore the mind and go deeper into the mantra, but you have to be aware throughout, right? So that's what it is. So it takes time to understand, practice, maybe about 6 8 months, but if somebody adopts, then you will see result. Like Krishna says, sattva is a long-term plan, right? You will see the result. Yes, Prabhu.
Also, what I'm thinking is when you come February, maybe one of the sessions we could do on mudras, because you've done a lot of research, you know a lot about the mudras and how certain mudras help certain parts of the body. But we'll talk about it, and we'll see. I'm sure a lot of the devotees here would be interested in that, learning certain mudras for. Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
definitely. Yes, I believe, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you again, Gaura Nataraj Prabhu, for this wonderful session. We all enjoyed it, and definitely a lot to learn, a lot to practice. And again, thank you, and hopefully to see you in person very soon. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Vancha
Thank you, Prabhu.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Nanda Gauri Vaishnavinda ki jai.
Haribo.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Bol. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Bol.